latest in college esports from the students that play.
Go behind the scenes at the schools that game.
The only place where esports are
on campus.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of CheckpointXP On Campus. I am your host, Norris Howard, here again with the band of knuckleheads, Daniel Agbuya, Jacob Brothers. What's going on, guys?
How's it going, everybody?
Doing great.
You already know, once again, coming to you live from the belly of the beast, our living rooms, bedrooms, and hope everyone out there is doing well and being healthy as well. But you're here to talk about a little bit of college esports, and that's what we're going to do, because one of the most well-run college tournaments, leagues, brackets, whatever you want to call it, College Call of Duty, had its championship over the weekend, and Jacob Brothers decided to be our, I'm not going to call him Galaxy Brain, he's just going to be our small systems brain, and tell us a little bit about what happened over the weekend for College Call of Duty, because this was a great back and forth series between Concord and Texas A&M. So Jacob, tell us a little bit more about what happened during that series.
Yeah, it was a pretty great series, and you guys' ears should perk up because there was a bracket reset, and fighting tournament watchers love a bracket reset. Because basically what it was is that Texas A&M sent Concord to the losers bracket, and then they rolled through losers bracket all on the same tournament day after they got sent down there. They get to the finals, they then beat Texas, forcing the bracket reset, and that's when Texas was able to beat them. So what I watched was the final best of five, which is what got Texas the championship. But
can I put a little piece of that thing trivia there, Jacob? Concord never lost a map before that.
Yeah, that's another
this
weird
was number
thing.
1 and number 2 seeds. Like these were the juggernauts that were going at it. And basically what it came down to is that when Texas lost that first round, it was pretty much a wake-up call. And then they're like, wait, guys, we should probably win this. And then they went on to win the best of 5 3-0, when the previous series was 3-1. But even though it was a 3-0, none of the matches besides the S&D was, none of them were like super far away. Concord was in it, all of them.
Yeah, Concord was in it all the way, especially on that first map, the hardpoint map on Gunrunner. That was such a intense game of Hardpoint, and for those out there who are unfamiliar with what Call of Duty, Hardpoint is essentially a King of the Hill style game. A point opens up on the map, and everybody just rushes towards it to try to capture that point on the map. And Texas A&M got out to a really early lead. They did very, very well, but Concord just was able to respond really well on that map, and they were able to create a lot of flanks that essentially either allowed them to capture the point before Texas A&M was able to capture the point, or they were able to effectively end their cap super fast. So it was a really, really interesting map on that hard point, and it was very, very, very intense to watch that first map.
That's when you thought Texas was like running away with it. Suddenly Concord comes out like, yeah, no, I'm still in this.
Well, yeah, because a long story short, because the matches, they're called respawns and S&D. So usually in respawns, the way it goes is that you just position your assault rifle players and you position your SMG players, and then if someone pops up, you collapse. Or with hardpoint, it's like if you lost that hardpoint, you send people to just set up to get the next one. And so when you set that up and then Texas A&M just gets a kill, then all of that work and time was wasted, which is what happened. And then for S&D, Texas was already considered the better S&D team, and we could see that because it all just comes down to positioning, really. Concord was trying to push into points with no information. S&D, for those who don't, search and destroy, for those who don't know, is the common man's Counter-Strike. It's just 5v5. Most of it is usually one-on-one engagements. But Concord, they would try to like rush onto a point with no information. They'd get bodied, or they got nothing out of their utility, and then they'd get bodied. Even Texas's Landon, he won a 1v4, but then couldn't defuse the bomb. So they were the better team in that match, just period. And that's why it went 6-3. And then finally with Domination, which is just capturing the 3 flags. Also, St. Petrograd, which was also the S&D map, was also like 151 to 137. And it was the same thing of just a battle for the B flag. At the first half, it was tied. And then D-Lo for Texas was a hero. going 36-18 on that map alone. But in all of these maps, even in map 1, all of the players on A&M had 30 kills, except for one. And so
that's
tell when a team is good
nuts.
if they have kills on the same level. Because because some people will set themselves up like an NBA team where they like, here are our 2 good players.
Yeah.
We just need these guys to win. And so when you have a team like Texas where all of them are consistently fragging, that will get you the win.
That was the issue, sort of what was going on in the first series that caused the bracket reset, is that you had you had certain players who, even the casters were like, why is not just an extra man being committed to them? And you saw Texas A&M sort of figured that out in that second series, especially on the S&D, especially on the domination map, where you saw when it came to their rotations, it was D-Lo and maybe one other person, and they were just completely running through everybody else. And you're right. When you have 2 teams and one of them has pretty consistent kills throughout most of them, maybe the degree of difference is about 5 to 6 kills. When you start seeing stuff like that, that lets you know that you've got a team that is communicating well, that's engaging intelligently. They're not engaging by themselves, or they're not taking shorthanded fights. And most of all, they're playing their objectives well too, because when you're going into a fight in Call of Duty especially when you're going into a fight around a objective, if you've got 3 players around that objective and everybody set up properly, you win. You win that point, period. There's no abilities and foolishness to pop up. There's no ultimates that people can pop off and do, these crazy, 1v3s and end up winning. No, you play with your team and you probably win. So Texas A&M was able to walk away with the championship. And as Jacob said, D-Lo was voted the MVP of the finals. But I think the biggest takeaway here is that this is easily one of the best presentations in college.
That's actually about to be the next question for you guys, actually, what you guys thought about, because we talked about Collegiate Clash for the last 8 weeks. This was obviously happening at roughly around the same time. What did you guys think of the presentation, the structure, the choice of teams? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, the only thing that was better, it's a Collegiate Clash just without the desk. Because they were doing the traditional webcam setup and all that, but these were better teams, I think, because everyone had a full season. We had a full bracket reset. All the drama that they wanted to happen happened. And
what do you guys feel like the divisions? Is that probably good? Something they should look at?
The divisions is the closest thing that we've seen to what we want. Where it's here is a league. It's these teams are the Northwest. These teams are over here, and so they were generally teams in the same geographical location. And that made for good competition. And for season 3, for people who want to start watching, they are a spring-oriented league. One of the few actually spring-oriented. So season 3 won't start until January. But they were saying that they're going to be pushing for a summer league, but they have no promises. But they were saying our goal is to have a summer tournament that can involve any schools. So that's where it's going.
Yeah, well, if you want to see some of the best Call of Duty at the collegiate level, this is the only place. This is literally the only place. The production values are there. The team play is there. Yeah, it's College COD, easy to remember. The YouTube is College COD. The Twitch is College COD. Go follow them. Go follow them and go watch this. Go consume this tournament or this season, because it was lights out, and we've talked about it before. But make sure you guys tune into it, because it really is some of the best that college esports has to offer. But we are going to be right back with a really interesting roundtable discussion with the Michigan Esports Conference. So it's going to be really, really cool to talk to some of these folks and really understand what is the significance of conferencing when it comes to collegiate esports. So that conversation is coming up, and we're going to look at some of the best games on sale this spring and summer for the, how shall we say, anemic pocketbook of the college students. So make sure you stick around for more Checkpoint XP on campus.
Hey, it's Weird Beard from Checkpoint XP reminding you to make it blue. Help say thank you to our heroes on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. Whether you're streaming, drawing, singing, cooking, or anything else, showcase your talents and hashtag Light It Blue. You can find more information at our website, checkpointxp.com.
Hey, this is Norris Howard from Checkpoint XP On Campus with your College Esports Quick Hit. The Collegiate Star League Grand Finals are back, and that means one of the biggest events in college esports returns with thousands of dollars in scholarships on the line. The CSL Grand Finals pit the best in North American colleges against each other in Street Fighter V, League of Legends, Dota 2, Magic the Gathering Arena, and more. The games begin Saturday, May 30th, with the games running throughout the weekend. That was your College Esports Quick Hit. For more, head on over to our website, checkpointxp.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to Checkpoint XP On Campus. Your host Norris Howard here, and I am joined by some really awesome guests. We have Caitlin Roos of Michigan Tech, the director of esports there. We have Dan Novacek. He's also a head coach for Kettering, also in Michigan. And we have friend of the show, Adam Antor from Aquinas College out in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And these folks have joined together along with other schools to create the Michigan Esports Conference. Now, we reported on this a couple weeks ago when it was first announced that these guys were coming together and joining forces, but we wanted to get them all on the show and have a little conversation about esports conferencing and what is it actually supposed to do for the collegiate scene. So, Dan, Caitlin, and Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so first of all, the first thing I want to ask is who all are members of your conference and how did this conversation all come about?
Absolutely. Dan, you want to take the first one?
The members of our conference? I don't have that list in front of me right now. Come on.
Adam!
How are you going to do me like that? First question.
No, I'm trying to spread the love here. No, we have 8 schools from around Michigan that have varsity esports programs that are currently members of the conference, but we're probably going to end up with about 12. There were a couple schools that are still testing the waters and seeing what they have in terms of options for competition in the fall before fully committing. That list can be found on our Twitter page.
Awesome.
So I'll plug that there.
Awesome. And how did that conversation start? Because I know some of you guys were a part of the Great Lakes Esports Conference previously, and so what made the decision to sort of bring it all back in-house to Michigan and create this new conference?
Yeah, I can touch on that. Aquinas was a member of the GLEC Conference, which is the Great Lakes Esports Conference, and that was actually 8 schools came together from Indiana and Ohio to create a conference that was centered around esports, and we wanted to take that and do it in the state of Michigan, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, actually a couple of us met up at NACAD, a conference or clinic for directors and coaches of esports all around the United States and Canada. I gotta think of our friends up in Canada. And so actually a lot of us met up and we said, Michigan's great, we're cool, we have 2 parts of our state, we look like a mitten, we gotta do something. We gotta have an esports conference. So I think that conversation, if it hadn't been started earlier, which I'm sure Adam was all over, being very prominent in the field, but I think that was something that solidified all of our interests in coming together and creating this conference. And the fact that a lot of schools in Michigan, especially Michigan, have been pioneers in this field of esports, I think it just seemed really natural, and we kind of wanted to make sure that we did something right, we had it run well, and that people took notice, and maybe we were able to help out other states who wanted to have a statewide conference in the future.
Awesome. And for those out there who are a bit unaware as to what a conference actually does for a collegiate sport, esports in this case, what do you guys hope that the conferencing does for your programs, or at least for the ecosystem here in Michigan?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, our goal as a conference is to provide regular and scheduled competition for all of our member institutions. Where we all compete in the national leagues, we all compete in, most of us compete in NACE, TESPA, RSAA, but with those comes a lot of scheduling issues and just things that a smaller conference would be able to address and give our member institutions. So that's really why we came together in the first place, was to create this sense of regular competition, knowing the college directors at other schools, working together, and why not do it with the member schools in Michigan, since there are so many of them starting in the fall. I mean, last year we had 4, and now we're going to have like 16 varsity programs in Michigan. So it's kind of crazy how fast it's growing.
Yeah, and so I wanna direct this next question to Dan. You know, you are a coach up at Kettering, and so is having the option of conferencing and interconference play, is that something that you are trying to, you know, drum home for your players next semester? Is that something that adds an extra incentive? Or for a coach, is that something that's just more organizational thing and it makes things easier to keep track of?
Yes. All of them. It's been, we're a fairly new program, I think, compared to both of these guys. I mean, we threw everything together in the span of 2 months. I mean, it was a very fast hit the ground running type thing. So as far as like participating in a lot of these tournaments like TESPA and the NACE stuff and things like that, having such a large gap between competition has been hard. Our League of Legends team is only participating in small tournaments that they can find online right now. I mean, there's not much for them to, because I mean, CLOL, when that happens, it's in the fall, and then playoffs are in the spring, and right. It's a very large gap. So we actually had our teams put together 2 months after, or a month after signups ended for CLOL. So we were just behind where we needed to be. And so having that regular competition and having that organization structure and having all of that there for us, for our teams, and for, you know, our university, and for everyone's teams and everyone's universities is great. I mean, it gives us an ability to say, we're playing this game, this day, this time, done. Like, instead of having to deal with, in a lot of instances, club teams from colleges who, you know, don't have any direction or anything like that. And it's, oh, we need to reschedule, but we can only do it between this time and this time when your kids are in class. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it takes away from having to do that so much, and working with other coaches and directors and things to make everyone's life easy and make it easier for our kids to compete.
Yeah, we're talking to Dan Novacek of Kettering. We're talking to Caitlin Roos of Michigan Tech and Adam Antor of Aquinas College. We're talking a little bit about the Michigan Esports Conference, of which all 3 of them are now members of a brand new conference starting in Michigan specifically for esports. And, you know, I want to ask a tough question here. We know the NCAA is not involved in esports. We know that they will not touch esports with a 10-foot pole right now. They are so averse to, you know, throwing their name in the hat of esports. But down the road, and especially looking down the barrel of no college football for the fall for many, many schools, are you guys concerned that if the Big Ten or any other conferences begin to think about esports, that this could effectively begin to relegate some of you guys as smaller schools?
I think that brings up a good point, and it's a conversation we've already had. Just looking at some of the traditional athletic conferences in our region, not necessarily in Michigan, trying to implement esports in their conferences, that it's something that we would welcome. I think general membership would be really supportive of, and we would be willing to kind of step aside if all of our member institutions were being provided the competition that they were seeking. I think there's a lot of benefits to a traditional athletic conference picking up esports, especially for our member institutions, and our goal is not to be a competition to traditional athletics or their conferences. It's just to support a need that's currently in the esports industry.
I agree, and I think at the end of the day, a lot of smaller schools were the ones that pioneered this. They do it right, and a lot of schools actually don't offer scholarships, and those programs are still super successful. And the reason the students go there is a lot of times for the academics, and the fact that they have that esports program, if that's something that they're interested in, maybe tied to an academic program. It provides just an additional reason for them to go. There are a lot of big schools out there that do a lot of cool things, have really good athletic programs, traditional athletic programs, but having esports can be a determinant for a lot of students. I know that was the case for some of my incoming students. I'm sure you guys can say maybe similar things for some of your incoming students. As a former softball player, collegiate softball player, one of the determinants was size of school for me. I didn't want to go to a big school with 20,000 people where I felt like I was just, somebody. There are people that want to do that. My cousins went to the University of Michigan and they loved it. That's where they wanted to be. And I found my home at Gannon in Erie, Pennsylvania with 7,000 students. And I got to play softball. So that was one of the reasons for me. And I think that at the end of the day, the more schools, it doesn't matter the size, that come into this, we all kind of lean on each other as a community of esports. And I think that's something that traditional athletics, on the surface, doesn't seem like it does. There's more competition as opposed to collaboration, and I like to say that esports is a lot of collaboration among competition, to build up your programs and to make them the best, because at the end of the day, it's something that we need to prove to the world that it's useful and that it's a good thing, because we've had stereotypes on our back for so long. And at the end of the day, what we're doing here is trying to not only fight that, but demonstrate that the students can come in, they can play games, they learn all these skills, and they graduate with a really good degree from a really good institution, and they go out and they do things. And that was a long-winded answer to your question, but there you go.
Awesome. So, but what I'm hearing from that is that in terms of the Michigan Esports Conference, you guys are not opposed to a big power conference school joining your organization.
No, we've opened up membership to any varsity program in Michigan that wants to join, and we've invited all of them. Whether they've not received our email or said no, that's totally up to them and their program. But we're here as a resource for them.
Yeah, I think that's another point too to the whole big schools coming in, is you have a lot of these big schools that their programs aren't varsity programs; they're just big clubs. You have clubs of 1,000 kids. It's a video game club, and you have a set that plays Overwatch, a set that plays League, a set that plays Smash, and a big school having to convert that club, that humongous club of people, into a varsity team would be an enormous undertaking on their part too. And yeah. I think that might discourage them from converting to a varsity program a little bit.
The other thing, I guess briefly, is where the program is housed. There are some that are housed under, I think student activities and athletics are the two main ones, if I'm not mistaken, and sometimes another department like IT or might take it on. And so, and that, I think for a D1 or a larger institution, maybe even more of a challenge, because it was kind of a no-brainer for us where it would be housed, but I know other schools had difficulties for multiple reasons, and that's something that I think when you have other coaches who went through the same decisions as you can at least get some insight into maybe what's best for your program and your students.
Yeah. Big ships take a longer time to turn, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So a final question for you guys, and a very direct one. Regardless of if you guys are back physically on campus or not in the fall, when can we expect conference play?
It's a great question. I'll let Dan answer that as our chief competition officer.
We still plan on starting in the fall. There seems to be enough interest in remote online play, and the schools that are working with us have enough people available online remotely who can play, that we expect to have some sort of competition this fall. Whether that's one game or 2 games, there will be competition this fall.
All right. Well, Dan Novacek of Kettering, Caitlin Roos of Michigan Tech, and Adam Antor of Aquinas College have been our guests on this segment. We thank you guys so much for joining us. You will more than likely see all of these folks once more on this show as we approach the fall and talk a lot more about the Michigan Esports Conference. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and we wish you all good luck on your play in the fall and beyond.
Thank you so much for having us.
We're going to have more coming up from Checkpoint XP on campus, where we tell you guys what are some of the best games for all you broke college students to buy while you're still under self-quarantine. So make sure you stick around for that. More Checkpoint XP on campus.
What you get from me, RESPECT. Of course I come naturally, and I'll be whatever you need me to be. It starts with true love. I'll put you on a pedestal up above.
What's up, guys? It's Kevin for Checkpoint XP on Campus, and this week in Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, we are celebrating Mari Takahashi, a co-founder of Smosh Games. Mari starred in her own series on the Smosh Gaming channel called MariCraft, and since then has moved on to creating content for her own YouTube channel and is a part of NE6. One of Mari's hopes in life is to encourage young women to go after their dreams, push the boundaries, and disrupt the status quo. And this week, we celebrate Mari and thank her for being an inspiration to Asian American girls and women in the gaming industry.
Welcome back to Checkpoint XP on campus, your number one resource for collegiate esports and video games. And don't forget to slide over to our website, checkpointxp.com, where you can find all of the really awesome content that we provide. You can find a link to all of our shows, including The Owl's Nest with Jake Lyon, a caster for the OWL, as well as The Other Identity, our comic book podcast. That and plus all of the articles and editorials that we write for you. CheckpointXP.com is the website. Make sure you check it out. But it's the summertime. We're approaching the summertime. We're approaching a time where everybody's supposed to be having a little bit of extra time on their hands. But guess what? We've been having extra time on our hands for quite a while. But that doesn't change the fact that college students are not how should we say, the wealthiest cohort in the world. So if you want to continue to get your game on, you're probably going to have to find some stuff on sale. So we're looking at Steam and Epic and the PlayStation Store for some of the best games on the market for sale. Now, this comes in the wake of Grand Theft Auto 5, which the Epic Game Store has put out for free. That's right, for the remainder of May. That game's free, and this is not a promotion. I'm just putting it out there. GTA 5 is free, y'all. It's free.
Free 99.
Like straight up. Free? Like, yeah, the most profitable single piece of content ever created by human beings. That's crazy. Go ahead and grab it. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think is one of the best games out there for the lows, for under $20? So Weird Beard has said he wants to chime in with a suggestion. So Weird Beard, what do you have for us for under $20? That's a great game for everybody to check out.
You know what's an even better price than under $20? How about $0.00? If you want to check out a game for absolute free right now that just released their 5th season of competitive play and a brand new hero.
I know what he's about to say.
Apex Legends is back in fashion, baby. You want to drop in. If you haven't gotten in a while, the map has changed quite a bit. They have a brand new hero called Loba, who's a little loot
She got
goblin.
style.
She does have style. And you have something that maybe sits between the crowd of too kiddie. Like if Fortnite is too kiddie for you, but you know, Modern Warfare and Call of Duty is just a little bit too gory. You want a little bit of fantasy elements. Apex Legends will sit right in that sweet spot, all for a grand total of $0.00.
I hate the fact that he's right because it's
it's good.
It's a good
Even
pick.
the battle pass is
good
$20.
Correct.
Yeah. So next we are gonna throw it to Daniel. What is your pick for the under $20 game.
So if you want a game that is under $20 but will give you hours upon hours upon hours of gameplay content, look no further than Supergiant Games Hades. If you're a fan of roguelites, games that no single run is going to be the same, check this game out. It's beautiful. The artwork is amazing. The voice acting, oh my god, it's so much fun. And if you're just even a remote fan of the games like Bastion and Transistor, you're going to absolutely love this game. And hey, it's still in early access. This game's not even fully done yet, but you feel like you had so much value from an early access game. So that's my pick.
It is a banger.
All right. Jacob Brothers, to you.
Jacob Brothers. Well, I've made this pick mostly for me because I've told myself I'm gonna play this game for the last 5 years. So on Epic Game Store right now, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Game of the Year edition. So it's all of their DLC is on sale for $14.98. And that game will give you more time than you want. Okay, you'll do all the story and side quests. Like, go, what about Heart of Stone? How about another Pokemon RPG length of just stuff to do, armor to get, people to kiss? It's all over the place. That game is wild, and it's a game that's one of the best ever made. And
yeah, it is. It is. I recently picked it up, and I find it hard to even begin to skim the iceberg of what that game, the tip of the iceberg of what that game has to offer. But I'm gonna be honest, man, I am going to break the rules a little bit because this game is that damn good. I want you guys to spend the extra $10, and for $30 you could go out and you could buy Control. Now Control is easily one of the best games to come out of 2019. It is a third-person shooter, paranormal elements, you get powers and all that cool stuff, but guys, it is one of the most stylistic and amazing games I played in a long time. If you're into stuff like the X-Files and Twin Peaks and
SCP
kind of stuff, SCP, Containment Breach, any of that kind of stuff, you need to go play Control. Alan Wake, all that stuff. Go play it. It's really, really good.
Norris, it's funny you should mention that. If anyone who shops at the Epic Store, you get a $10 off coupon for any game on sale. So that already breaks it down to less than $20.
Hey guys, it's Destiny here to recommend you one of my personal favorite games that's on sale right now for spring, and that's Ubisoft's South Park Stick of Truth. This adventure RPG is not only hilarious, but I was pleasantly surprised by the level of customization my character had in-game. The storyline itself is unpredictable, but if you know South Park, that's not all that surprising, and it adds to the hilarity that ensues. Usually $30, this game is now only $7.49 on the Epic Games website. Go take a look.
Hey guys, it's Diane, and my recommended cheap video game would be Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. That series has been a staple of mine since my childhood, and now on sale for $40 is the Tokyo 2020 version on the Nintendo Switch. Of course, I don't have the Switch, but once I cope that, I will definitely grab that game.
Yeah, definitely. So go out and try out Control. Go out and try out any of these games. They're really, really great choices for anybody with a limited budget. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, all of these games are games that you could easily put, 80, 90 plus hours into without a doubt. So make sure you guys go and check out all those games. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for this episode of Checkpoint XP on Campus. I want to thank all of our guests today, and I want to thank our crew that came in to help us out. And always thanks to our behind the scenes crew that put together all of our in-between segments and all of the video and audio that they help edit. We thank you guys so much. We also want to thank Weird Beer for coming on, I guess. Whatever. But anyway, we hope and demand that you guys return next week for another episode of Checkpoint XP on Campus. See you later.
Take care of yourselves.
You should also buy The Wolf Among Us.